the 10 a.m. demos?
Not necessarily.
Okay, then we can try and we can do what we did today then. At 10 to 10:15. 10 to 15 to 10:30, try and get here.
Cover.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Can't be in both of them.
Everyone, how are you doing today? And I just realized I was connected. Sometimes when you do VTuber streams, there's a little bit of stuff, and that's okay. But I hope you're all having a good time at OffKai Expo so far. I'm going to be doing what is a Lewdtuber and how do I become one, and we're going to have a lot of fun. There we go. As was mentioned by the wonderful staff member, you can ask questions on the Expo's Discord. I will be answering questions at the end of my presentation. So if you have any that you think of along the way, you can post them there, and I will answer those first before asking the room questions. My name is Ava Lamp. I'm a sentient lava lamp. Here are some places you can find me. I stream on Twitch, mainly, but I also post videos onto YouTube, TikTok, and I tweet. I also am a Lewdtuber, which is why I'm doing this stream, and I personally stream on a website called MiniVids. I know it's not the most common one, but for what I like to do, it's the perfect one for me, and we'll discuss that more as we go along. So what is a Lewdtuber? Pretty much a Lewdtuber is just a VTuber who creates lewd content. This can be anything from tweets, pictures, videos, just any type of content that's lewd. I personally consider myself to be lewdsome, which is a combination of lewd and wholesome. That just is what works best for me, but some people are much lewder than I am, and there's people who are less lewd than I am, and that's perfectly all right. When it comes to lewd content, you need to do what makes you comfortable and what you feel happy doing. You should never force yourself to do something that you're not comfortable with. So I'm going to go over some basics of streaming first before we go specifically to the lewd side of it, just because to become a Lewdtuber, you still need to be a VTuber first. And for that, you're going to need streaming equipment. This includes a PC, which, depending on what exactly you're wanting to do, will depend on what type of PC you need. For all the programs you need for a VTuber, you definitely need a high GPU and a high CPU as well as high RAM, just because of how much strain it'll put on your computer using things like VTube Studio, as well as having a game running at the same time. It can be a lot for a computer. Yes, there are things you can do with just a simple laptop, but you have to be aware of the constraints within that and what can and can't be done. So the PC is probably the most important piece of equipment just because you need it the most. I'm sorry if there's some audio issues. I don't see an issue on my end from my internet. It seems to be at green. So I'm sorry if there are any audio issues. I can also turn up my microphone if that helps, because I have a higher gain. But I'm going to go ahead and continue. I hope that fixed it. So along with a PC, you're also going to need either a webcam or an iPhone, depending on the type of model you're utilizing. I personally would suggest an iPhone 10 or newer. The reason for this is because it captures with Apple's AR kit, so you can have more facial recognition and more facial tracking. With a webcam, there are some programs like VTube Studio and VCFace that will capture it, but you're not going to be getting as much facial data, so you're not going to have as much movement or as much emotion when it comes to your model, just because it doesn't have those points to track it. So another piece of equipment you can utilize is called Elite Motion, which is a hand tracker that's utilized for 3D models. Some of these are very specific to the type of model you want to use. Trackers and base depictions go along with 3D models as well. So this is if you want to do full body tracking for VR. There are a lot of VR dancers who utilize this type of tracking, which can be done, regular dancing or lewd dancing. You can use it for doing all types of lewd streams as well. just because you get the whole full body movement, so you can track every single little movement. This is an option. There's people who do have live 2Ds for Lewdtubing, and there's people who have 3D models. I personally think that 3D models are more the way to go, just because you have more options with them, and you can do a lot more things. And like I mentioned before, there's different types of models. For Lewdtubing specifically, I would not suggest a PNG, just because you're only going to be going off of vocals then, which yes, vocals can be very nice, but when it comes to Lewdtubing, people definitely would like to see some type of visuals along with it, and if you just have a PNG that's bobbing up and down with an open and closed mouth, you're not going to have a whole lot to interact with. That's why a 3D or live 2D would work. Personally, I do have a lewd version of my live 2D model, but I'm also updating my 3D model so I can have a better version of that for VR chat and other types of VR streaming with it. But again, it's up to the personal choice. But at the bare minimum, you need a 3D or 2D model just so you can have some extra options and some extra movement. With 3D models, there's Vroid, and then there's also custom models using Blender. Vroid is a free program you can utilize to make a 3D model, and then you can also customize it on top of that. The only issue with Vroids is that they are like a Barbie doll. There is nothing underneath, so you definitely would want to customize it if you're wanting to use it for lewd content. Custom models, you can make them custom. You can have every little bit that you could ever desire on there. And yes, a guy or a girl can be a Lewdtuber, so you can do it either way. But 3D models, in my opinion, are just the way to go for it, just because it makes it so much easier. Let's see. For 3D models, I use a program called VCFace and Wideo. VCFace tracks the model for the computer, while Wideo is personally tracking my face utilizing my iPhone and the Apple AR kit. This is the way I do it. Both of these programs are free and they work very well. This is what was suggested to me by my 3D model rigger, so I would use this just because that's what they rigged it for. Other riggers may use a different program with the Apple AR kit. I know there's multiple out there, so they are rigging specifically to that program. So if you are getting your 3D model rigged with the AR kit, you definitely need to talk with your rigger and see which program they're utilizing to see which one would be best for you and for your model. Like I said, live 2D is another option. When it comes to live 2D though, you would definitely need a custom model for this. A pre-made model is not going to have any lewd options. Getting lewd options is not a standard by any means. Even just getting a naked model is not a standard. A lot of people's live 2Ds do not have a base layer. Like their clothes cover the gaps between like their limbs, so there's not a base underneath. It again depends on the artist, so sometimes they may have more, but they're not going to have, you know, nipples or any other unmentionables there. But there's a lot you can do with it, even for guys. Like I've seen people have a guy's junk completely rigged. They can have the pec muscles rigged. You can have some nice boing boing, some really nice physics. You can have your tongue stick out. There's a lot you can do with a live 2D. While 3D, again, in my opinion, just gives you more options for movement and things like that, you can still do a lot with a live 2D model. And it can still be a whole lot of fun to have. I used both. I enjoy both, but if I had to pick one, I personally would pick the 3D model just because of how much more you can do with it. With a live 2D, I personally utilize VTube Studio and a program called VBridger. It just captures more of your face. Both of these are paid for programs, but they're both under $20 each. So in my opinion, it's a good investment and it's not that expensive, especially considering the price of VTuber models. You may want to consider exactly how much you want to spend on VTubing, because a live 2D model and a 3D model, especially a custom one, can be very expensive. They could go for a couple hundred, they could go for a couple thousand. It really depends on your rigger, your artist, and how much you're wanting to spend. Oftentimes, the more you spend, the more high quality of a model you can get. You can get a lot more bells and whistles. You can get a lot of extra things, different outfits. You can get 3D models that have, what's it called, dynamic penetration, things like that. It's all extras. So you really need to look into who you're getting your model from and making sure that they can do all the extra things that you want to do. Because Lewdtuber is not a standard within the VTubing community. So it can be hard to find people who want to do those type of projects and are willing to do those types of projects. Sometimes you have to pay extra for these projects because people don't want to do it in SFW. And that's okay. It's just something you have to be aware of. Now when it comes to the equipment, specifically the lewd side of equipment, there are a variety of things you can utilize. There are toys, especially Levin's toys specifically. These toys are Wi-Fi enabled toys that can be controlled by someone else who is not where you are. So there's a lot of websites that have integrations for this, like Chatterbait. So then people could donate, I believe they use coins on Chatterbait. I don't use it, so I'm not 100% sure. But people can donate and then they can control your toy for a specific amount of time. Having these types of integrations make it really easy for you to interact with your chat, rather than, oh, I'm just gonna hold this here for 5 seconds. Well, the chat gets to decide how high it's gonna be or how long it's gonna be and different things like that. So it adds a lot of fun and interactability between you and the chat. There's basic toys as well. I have quite a collection of those. I have a collection of Levin's toys too. Levin's also has toys for guys and girls, so no one's left out there. For guys, one of the standards would be the Max. For girls, I would say a standard would be the Lush. It is just a very easy toy to use. There's obviously others. There's the Hush. They even just released a sex machine recently, which I'm personally waiting to come in the mail, and I think will be a lot of fun to utilize. But these are expensive. So sometimes having your community help you, like have a donation goal for these types of things can help you a lot. Unless, you just have some money laying on aside. This is a very expensive thing though, because one toy can be $100 or more. Like, I think the sex machine was like $700, but I had a community donation drive and I was able to get it that way, luckily, because my community is very wonderful and I love them very much. But these are things to think about. Having chat integrations on the website you're using is very useful. It doesn't have to just be toys, but a lot of websites will have like different like little things you can do. Like you can make them yourself. So it could be as simple as I'll moan your name or I'll write your name on me if you have a hand cam or something. But being able to have integrations like that is very useful because it's a great way to get tips and a great way to interact with your community. Having some very interesting ones can make it a lot of fun. So like some standards would be like moaning your name, writing your name on you. Some of these may be for more like IRL streams rather than VTubing. But some VTubers I've seen have like a sticky note where they could type out the name on them, which I thought that was really cute, so they could write the name on them in a way. There's also like smack your ass or something like that. I've seen a whole bunch of different things. You can get really creative with them. But this is something you need to think about and what you want to do, and what you're comfortable with doing. But there's also other lewd equipment. This is just more the integration side of things and what you utilize during a stream. You also need like a lube and other things like that too. Just, some behind the scenes things that you may not initially think of, but are definitely necessary. Now, as far as lewd content goes, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can get artwork commissioned. If you have a 3D model, you can take whole photo sets with your 3D model. So you can either get a friend to help you take pictures, or like within VR chat. Okay, in VR chat you're not supposed to do lewd things, but everyone does. It's just kind of one of those unwritten rules. But there's like a camera function in it, so you can take pictures of yourself as well within it if you don't have someone to help you. But you can do whole like boudoir sets of photos with your 3D model. If you only have a live 2D model, you can take, that's why I'm saying artwork could be another one. You can get commissions done. And you can post these pictures on like Twitter, on Fansly, OnlyFans, mini vids, all that type of thing, just to help create content and things for your viewers to enjoy. Some people are fine with IRL pictures. I personally am not, but I know that there are plenty of other Lewdtubers who do like dress up and they'll show like from their shoulders down, or things like that, or just like for a special milestone, like, oh, here's a picture of my butt. Just things like that. So it's an option if you're comfortable with doing it. And like I said before, it's always important to do what you're comfortable with. Don't push yourself to do something just because you think it's what people want. Do what makes you comfortable and what makes you cozy. Another thing that you can do is streaming. So there's streaming on Twitch, and then there's streaming on other sites. Depending on the site that you're streaming on, depends on what type of content that you can make. So what I mean by this is some websites will allow you to play video games and others will not. Most people will stream to Chatterbait, which is mainly talking streams, because you cannot do any type of video gaming whatsoever on Chatterbait. That's the reason I personally don't use it, because I like playing lewd video games. And you cannot do that unless you are actually on the site itself. Another thing you can do is lewd ASMR. I'm sure some of you may be familiar with ASMR on Twitch. There is a lot of ear licking. And it's a very popular thing. So there are people who bring that over to lewd sites and do ear licking. They will also like do blowjobs on toys and things like that. Pretty much just the lewd version of ASMR. Which, I mean, I personally haven't done, but I know it's a thing. And I mean, you can have some fun with ASMR. I do ASMR streams on Twitch. I did a Doggy Mommy ASMR stream today. I enjoyed it a lot. So there's a lot of things you can do. And this is just what I thought of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a bunch of other different things you can do. It's really important to be creative and think outside of the box. When you think outside of the box, you can come up with really great ideas that maybe people haven't done before. And being able to have new content and something interesting for people to watch will have people coming back for more. Well, like I was mentioning before, there are quite a few places to curate lewd content. So I didn't put Twitch on here because it is against TOS. You cannot have lewd content. You can make like offhanded jokes and things like that, but anything that it is like explicitly lewd, you cannot have on Twitch. You will get in trouble with Daddy Twitch, and you do not want that. On Twitter, you can post lewd pictures. There is now a sensitive images filter that gets placed over them if they are too lewd, but it is someplace that you can share lewd art and things like that, including lewd IRL pictures and other things. So Twitter can be a place for you to like bridge the gap between different streaming sites. I personally use Twitter just to kind of post here and there, just kind of meme things, but I'll also post artwork on there too. The places I've listed here are some of the most popular, including Chatterbait, Mini-Vids, OnlyFans, and Fansly. There are many other sites out there, but all of them have very specific rules when it comes to VTubers, because they can't see your face is the biggest thing, and they want to make sure that everyone who's creating content is over the age of 18. So there are some verification that goes on behind the scenes, and it varies from website to website. The first one I'm going to talk about is Chatterbait, which is by far the most popular website for VTubers. I know that a lot of big people like Project Melody uses this. I'm pretty sure Vexori is going to start using this. It's just the most common one. You must verify with staff before streaming. So you have to tell them, you have to reach out specifically and be like, hey, I'm going to be using this model, but it's going to be me. So you have to go through that process, as well as sending them all your state identifications and things like that. Also, you must verify your identity while you were streaming. I've been told there's two different ways to do this. You can either have a separate camera set up that is looking at you and showing everything so that it can verify, yes, this is a real person, yes, this is the person on the ID who is doing this at this time. Another option is to verify by sending photos at random intervals when you're requested to. I do not know how often this happens. I have not gone through this process, so I am not an expert on it by any means, but this is just what I've been told and what I've learned through the research I've done when I was looking at streaming on Chatterbait. The reason I don't is because there is no gaming. Even if you have something on in the background, like a TV or something, you can get taken down off of Chatterbait. They are very serious about not having any TV, any video games, any of that type of content anywhere on their website. They don't want to deal with the possibility of copyright infringement, which I can understand, but it's just a bit frustrating because of how intense it can be. One of the pros for Chatterbait, though, is the high amount of discoverability. There are a lot of people that stream on Chatterbait, and there are a lot of people who utilize Chatterbait to watch streamers. So if you don't mind just chatting streams and you don't mind their verification process, Chatterbait can be a great option for you. It also has a lot of integrations with toys and different things like that. Because it is one of the forefronts, it has all of those integrations that everyone wants. Because there are sites that do not have any type of integration at all, which makes it really difficult. Yes, you can still use your toys on a website that does not have integrations, but it's a whole roundabout process, because I've personally done that, and I had one of my moderators help me, and we were sending out timed codes for them to use, and creating a list of, okay, this person goes first, this person goes second, this person goes third, and it can just become really difficult if the website doesn't have the integrations. If you're doing this all by yourself, I would say it's not plausible. It is very hard because you're trying to maintain streaming and sending out codes and things like that. So I definitely suggest using a website that at least has some type of integration just to make it a bit easier on yourself. Now this is the platform I use. It's called MiniVids. The only thing I had to do is I had to verify my identity using a driver's license and let them know that I'm using a VTuber model. They had no problems with that. I have had no issues with MiniVids. It's been fine for me. They allow gaming. I have played quite a few lewd games on here. I've done just chatting streams on here. I have a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun being able to do gaming. I will say you have to be mindful of the website's TOS because there are certain things within games that they do not like. So a lot of games, well, not a lot of games, but a lot of websites will ban things like bestiality and underage and things like that. And with video games, sometimes the characters may say, oh yes, I am 500 years old, but they look like they're 9. That does not fly. It doesn't matter how old they say they are, they do not look their proper age. So that's something you need to be mindful of. There are plenty of games that do have characters that are of age and look like they're of age. You just have to be mindful when you're picking a game to play. I've played, I don't know exactly how many games I've played, but I've done a variety of them and I've had a lot of fun. I've even reached out to developers of the games to be able to play them and do demos, so it can be a lot of fun. It does have a lower viewer base than Chatterbait. You can still get a good amount of viewers, but there's also not very many VTubers that utilize it. When I've gone live on there, I have sometimes been the only VTuber that is streaming on their site because it's mostly IRL people. So that can be a little intimidating and it can make you feel like a fish out of water. But if you don't mind that and you really want to play lewd games or just regular games in general with a lewd theme, this is an option for you. This used to be a more popular website to utilize, OnlyFans. You had to verify your identity. They had some issues starting out, but most of them got ironed out with VTubers. It is widely known. However, it has dropped in popularity for creators, especially due to uncertainty with the utilization of OnlyFans. There was an issue where OnlyFans, there was this whole question about can you keep posting the content or not, and all these people and creators were going to lose their livelihoods because of this. Because there are a lot of IRL creators who do OnlyFans as their main source of income. And so because of this, there was a bit of a mass exodus from OnlyFans because people realized, I can't trust them. They could at any time decide, hey, I'm not going to allow this anymore. And because of that, it has really hurt their creator base. So if you want to use OnlyFans, because it is well known, that's fine, but you need to be aware of the risk that they could change their mind at any time. Yes, any website could technically do this, but because OnlyFans has done it in the past, it kind of brings a fear that they'll do it again in the future. The reason behind this, though, is because of the major credit card companies that process payments, and they don't really like lewd content, so it becomes a whole thing with banking. Like, you wouldn't think it'd be banking, but it's banking. And this is a newer one. It's called Fansly. A lot of people who were on OnlyFans moved over to Fansly. I'm not 100% sure about the verification process for this, just because I haven't looked into it very much. But like I said, many people moved over here from OnlyFans. I also realized I did not make a slide for this, but I should go ahead and mention it, that there are people who use Discord for lewd content. That technically goes against Discord's TOS, so it's not something I personally do. I do have an NSFW channel on my server that has NSFW content and things like that, but there are people who exclusively stream to Discord for NSFW content. So yes, it's something you can do. It's just something I may not suggest doing, because if you do have a Discord server that is big and that you're utilizing and you don't want anything bad to happen to it, going against Discord's terms of service can get you in some hot water. You don't want to do that. You don't want to lose all that hard work that you've been putting into it. Again, this is just my suggestions. I can't say to or not to do anything. I know people will go ahead and do it anyways. I know multiple people who currently use Discord in this way, but it's not something I would personally suggest. Also with Discord, there is a maximum depending on your server size. So, for example, my gloopy sister Blue the Slime has done a few lewd streams on Discord, but I believe there's a maximum of 50 people who are able to actually view the content. People can listen, but not everyone can watch. So depending on your size, it may also be something you think about, because you want to make sure that your fans can watch you if you want them to. And I went through that a lot quicker than I thought I would, but I'm going to go ahead and open up this so I can hear all of you. So if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them. There is a bit of a delay. I've already talked with the staff member on site who can help me, just because there's a little bit of a delay, and they'll help me facilitate questions. Let me go ahead and look on the Discord to see if there's any questions there. Okay, it does look like there's a few questions, so I'll go ahead and answer the questions that are within the Discord first. The first question is what my favorite color is, and if it is not obvious, my favorite color is pink. I feel like that should be very obvious. The next question is what does a lava lamp taste like? I'm strawberry flavored. I'm not sure what every single lava lamp would taste like. I would not suggest drinking an actual lava lamp because they have antifreeze in it, and that is not good for human consumption. The next question is, what inspired you to become a Lewdtuber? So I've always been a bit of a lewd person. I enjoy being wholesome and I enjoy being lewd. So when I became a VTuber, I didn't want to stop being this part of myself, and knowing that I could produce lewd content was something that intrigued me and something that I wanted to do. I don't do it as often as I'd like to just because of some IRL things, but I do have fun doing it when I can. Okay, the next question after that, are there ramifications or things that some Lewdtubers need to keep in mind before starting making lewd content? Alternatively, what are some common pitfalls beginners don't always think about? I will say, when it comes to Lewdtubing, there are certain people within the VTubing community who will view you differently. So you have to be prepared for people to judge you because you are creating sexual content for other people. While I personally don't have an issue with that, there has been a bit of a divide within the VTubing community itself between say-so and lewd VTubers. And even that doesn't mean that people who are creating lewd content, it could just be people who are just a bit more lewd or making lewd jokes. So you have to be mindful of if you want to put yourself into a place where people are going to judge you for what you're doing. I personally don't care, and I've talked to people who feel that way, but I'm going to be me no matter what, and I think that's what's important. As far as the second part of the question, for pitfalls, you need to make sure what you're doing makes you comfortable. Because I've had friends who are like, oh, I want to try lewdtubing. They get into it because they think it's what will make them popular, but they realize it's not for them. They're not comfortable doing those types of things. They're not comfortable being lewd on stream. They're not comfortable doing lewd streams. And it's always important to do what makes you feel comfortable. Let's see, what inspired me to be a lava lamp? I mentioned this yesterday during the panel, but I have a collection of 30 lava lamps. So I like lava lamps a lot, so it wasn't really hard for me to think of becoming a lava lamp VTuber. For the next question, I do not currently use an OnlyFans. I believe I do have an OnlyFans account, but I haven't created any content specifically for it. I kind of just made one to save a spot for myself in case I did. If I wanted to do that type of content, I feel like I'd probably do it on Fansly, just because of the issues that OnlyFans has had in the past. For the next question I see, do you need to have a voice changer to maintain your anonymity? That really depends on the person. I personally do not use a voice changer of any type. I know there are VTubers who do use voice changers because they're not comfortable sharing their own voice. So that's just a personal choice if that's something you'd like to do or not. I personally don't think I'm really big enough to worry about maintaining my anonymity. It's not like I'm going to go to the grocery store or go to Disney and have someone recognize me just based on my voice. I mean, if you get big enough, there's always that possibility, but it's just doing what makes you feel comfortable. Let's see. For the next question, do you have specific rules for skeb/other commissioned artwork? As a Lewdtuber, do you ask your fans to not commission/draw specific types of art as it would impact your branding or revenue streams? I personally do not have any specific rules. I just ask if it's like some really obscure fetish to ask me first, just to make sure it's something I'm comfortable with. But for the most part, I tell my viewers that, hey, if you want to make lewd art of me, if you want to have lewd art of me in your character, that's completely fine. I have no problems with that. You can make safe for work art, you can make NSFW art. I'm fine with either. I know a lot of people worry about their branding. My branding is being myself, so I personally haven't come across any types of issues with that. Then again, I also joke about vor, just because I find it funny. So I may not be the best person to ask that question to. The next question on here is, what are the different types of lewd ASMR you do? I personally have not done any lewd ASMR, like on a lewd website. I only recently got my 3DO ASMR microphone. It's something I'd like to do in the future. For those types of streams, I'd probably have a theme, like how I did a Dami Mommy stream on Twitch today. I probably have a theme, and then I'd probably do things. I wouldn't lick the ear, because that's just not something I really want to do. I don't want to break the microphone. But maybe like something with like using a dildo, that'd be fine. Like, I'm trying to think of how to word it, like giving a dildo a blowjob. But other than that, you could also like put the microphone down closer if you want to have some like what squelching noises. That'd probably work for ASMR. It's just not something I've personally done yet, but you could definitely read some like lewd fan fictions too. Like I've read regular stories for ASMR, so I feel like you could read some lewd stories as well. How do you keep the vibe of your audience chat to be lewd and wholesome, lewdsome? Do you have a lot of moderators? I feel like I've curated a group of followers. I call them galoopies. My galoopies are very wholesome along with me. I think it's because I have such a chill attitude, and I do throw in a lewd joke every now and then. And I'll joke about vor and things like that. Like step on me, mommy, sorry, mommy. We'll have just a lot of jokes together. I make it a very open and warm feeling, so that people don't feel like they have the explicit need to just be incredibly lewd. Like, I literally have a command that's !horny to see how horny you are in chat, and we'll joke about it like, oh man, you're only 2%, are you feeling okay, bud? So I'm pretty much myself, which I think helps maintain that balance of lewdsomeness. I do have moderators, and I surprisingly haven't had a lot of issues within my chat where people are being like really gross or anything like that, but I think me being open and honest about these types of things really helps with that. What are some of the things that get moderated out of your chat? How do you draw the line? So I'm trying to think, because I actually recently implemented Twitch's moderator system just because Twitch told me themselves that if I don't have it implemented, it's something that can stop you from being on the front page. So I recently started doing that, so we have a whole lot of mods who are trying to clear that system, because they'll get like random words sometimes. Like it caught the word loose, and I'm like, okay, I can see how that would be lewd, but it's fine in this context. But I think if something like explicitly is just really rude, like I had someone mention, I have an outfit that has cat ears and a cat tail, and they're like, wow, your cat tail looks like it has a condom on it. And I'm like, that's just really fucking rude. You can be timed out now. It's pretty much just, I kind of play it by ear, and if someone's being explicitly rude to me for no reason, then they can be moderated. But for the most part, I don't have an issue with people being lewd in my chat. Like, people joke about, oh, I'm perceiving you, and I'm looking at you disrespectfully. I'm like, oh, yes, look at me disrespectfully. And I joke about, like, stepping on them, like I have a stepping routine. So I think I keep it really open so people don't feel like they have a need to be explicitly lewd or rude to me. Have I done a no-hit run of Dark Souls 3? No, I've never played Dark Souls. The only Souls game I have played is Code Vein, which isn't even explicitly Souls, and I was awful at it, and I wanted to cry, so I probably will not play Dark Souls because it will bring me lots of tears. So what is my favorite game to stream? And do you also stream with non-lewd games? On Twitch, I stream non-lewd games because that is the only thing I can stream on Twitch. My favorite games include Fallout New Vegas, as well as Power Washing Simulator. I know those are two very different games, but I enjoy them with different lewds. I've also really been enjoying Pokemon Arceus recently. When it comes to lewd games, I enjoy a lot of visual novels and things like that. There is a card game I played recently called Spooky Scarlets, which is a lot of fun, and you're pretty much putting the characters into different lewd scenarios to make a porno. And it's just like a trading card type game. I just enjoy it a lot. But if you have any further questions, feel free to either ask them in the room or to type them into the Expo's Discord. Which game? The last one? The last one I mentioned is called Spooky Starlets. It is on Steam. It is a card game. Pretty much you get different cards for different scenarios within the porno and you put them together with the characters to make it. I do Scar. Scar, am I allowed to show my lewd model here? If I can, I'll show it right now, because it's just a toggle for me. But I do have different outfits, so sometimes I'll put on different things, like a nurse's outfit, or I'll put on like cat ears and a cat tail. Just kind of different things for the different themes, which is nice to do. And like I said, I do have a lewd version of this model, which is why I asked, because I wasn't 100% sure. But like, so I have toggles to take off my clothes and toggles to add on nipples and things like that. But I do also have other VTuber models, like I've got a cookie models and things on that. Okay, you think it's okay? If you think it's okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
No, wait, let's just ask the chat.
So like, I can take off my clothes, obviously. And then I can also make it lewder, just for, you know, that type of thing. It's a very simple toggle, but this is something I had to customize and specifically ask for. Like I mentioned before, this is not something you can get standard with a model. This is something you have to get extra. And just having a simple toggle can make it easy, because I can switch between that. I can even add... Please proceed. But yeah, so like, this is all stuff I added extra because I thought it would be funny. But yeah, I have silly things like this. And I have other outfits too. Mostly they're stuff that other people have made that I've put on just as VTuber assets. I'm currently getting a new Gyaru model, which is going to be this model but with a different hairstyle and a different outfit. So I'm having to go back through the whole art and rigging process, which has taken a couple of months. So things like this can take a little bit of extra time. But I hope that answered your question. Let's see, so collabs are popular with VTubers. Is that something you'd also look at as a Lewdtuber? I have actually done some Lewdtuber collabs, and I'm currently in the talks to do a couple others. There's just a bit more of red tape between doing collabs as Lewdtubers because the websites you're on oftentimes require some form of identification and like signing consent for you to be able to appear on another person's stream. So there just may be a little bit more red tape than there is between a regular type of collab, but it's something I've done in the past and something I want to do in the future. Can I do the same thing with my corrupted model? I can. So this is, hold on, because it's the same model. Here, I'll break them version a little bit. So all of this is part of VTube Studio. This is one thing I do for my streams is I can become corrupted. And the hard part about it is I have to go through all of these windows to be able to do it, to change my form just a little bit. So this is another way that my model can be. But it's the same keys, so it can be done. It's just not something I've utilized because I have not used my corrupted form on a lewd stream yet. Though I should be, actually I can go ahead and mention that. I'm going to be doing a lewd stream sometime this week on mini-vids. I haven't picked the exact day, but it's something you can look forward to. And I will go ahead and switch back. But that's like a simple thing you can do in VTube Studio as well. Like if you want fancy things, like you can see all the people like Shy Lily and Iron Mouse who have like the glowing bits. It's really easy. It's just a really simple toggle within it that you just need to know what buttons to push to get you what you want. Okay, are there any other questions that you have for me? Okay, let's see. How long did it take you to feel settled as a Lewdtuber, and how long do you plan on going at it? Well, I started Lewdtubing pretty much right after I get started. I think I had like my first lewd stream maybe a couple months after I started because I originally did it with my 3D model. So it would have been a couple months after I started. I've been lewd since the beginning, so I wouldn't say it was anything that came out of the blue. And I'll do it for as long as I feel comfortable doing it. I have fun doing it. If anyone, I did a culture tiered list stream, so if anyone saw that, I had exhibitionist pretty much as SSS tier, so it kind of makes sense, I'm just saying. But as long as I feel comfortable doing it, that's just something I'll continue doing. If I don't feel comfortable doing it, then I can stop it. It is doing what makes you feel comfortable is what's the important thing there. It was, okay, so what was it like being at the Weary 101? It was very nerve-wracking. So I was on the Weary 101 last month with Leaflet and Takahata and Crimbo. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a bit nerve-wracking because I had never been on a stream that big before. But I had a lot of fun. I was able to corrupt things a bit, which was pretty fun to do. It's something I'd like to do again, definitely. What is my most memorable stream? So it's not a specific stream, but earlier this year for my birthday, I did an uncapped subathon. So I streamed for 11 days, and I took breaks every night so that I could sleep. But I streamed over 110 hours in 11 days, and I was exhausted by the end of it, but it's not something I'm ever gonna forget. But I think some of my, other than that, like going up on the Weary 101, getting to visit Prism, Vexoria. Those are the things that I enjoyed a lot and I'll remember for a long time. What is your favorite / least favorite part about being a VTuber? Oh man, that's kind of hard. So one of the things that I dislike the least is the amount of pressure people put on you based on the amount of numbers you have on certain websites. It can be very frustrating. So a lot of people that I've grown as a VTuber with, I have higher numbers than some of them, and because of that, they view me differently, even though I'm the same person I've always been. So that's kind of frustrating to me. That's something I do not like. I will get on my friends for it because they put you on a pedestal, and it's like, I'm still Ava. I may have these followers, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't care how many followers you have. So follows and numbers and views is a kind of a big thing in the VTubing community, which I do not appreciate or like at all. I think it's dumb. I hate it. As for my favorite thing, I really enjoy doing collabs and getting to hang out with my friends and spend time with them. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. I do them occasionally, and I always enjoy getting to spend time with my friends. So what are my suggestions for transferring real life to VTuber lewd content? Let's see. I'm going to say you can do a lot of the same stuff that you do IRL as a VTuber depending on the type of model that you have. So like I mentioned before, if you have a 3D model, you can easily do like the pictures and boudoir shoots and things like that. So you can create lewd content that way. If you just have a live 2D model, you can get artwork done. So you can do those types of poses, but it just can be a bit more expensive that way. So you have to look at how you want to do it and what type of content you want to curate. But there's also people who are VTubers who do make IRL lewd content as well. You don't have to be one or the other. You can do both. There are people who do both. I personally just do VTubing and Lewdtubing, but there are people who do lewd content as well as like lewd VTubing content. Some people may say there are rules like, oh, you can't show your face, oh, you can't show your hands. I do IRL streams where I do crafts and I show my hands. I'm personally comfortable with that, so I don't think there's an issue with it. Some people may not view it that way, but to me, you can do it either way. You can be lewd IRL and as a VTuber, and it's no big deal. How do you set boundaries with people doing this type of content? Do you mean like, how do I set boundaries with people viewing my content? Or, I mean, I have the boundaries, at least for me, for Twitch, because that's mainly where I stream. I'll joke around and I'll make lewd jokes and things like that, it's fine. But as long as it stays within TOS, I can make those jokes. But outside that, I don't even let people name OnlyFans or Chatterbait. I'll delete those messages just because it's not allowed within Twitch's TOS to talk about. Oh, boundaries as in relationships? Well, I always make sure that people know, hey, this is what this isn't anything more. Because like I said, I've done lewd streams with other Lewdtubers, and we've had that understanding, hey, we're just doing this for content, we're friends, we can be fuck buddies, that's fine. But it's not like we have a relationship with one another in that way. That's important to know, and it's something that you need to talk about ahead of time. Setting clear boundaries is a very important part of communication, and making sure that people understand what is and isn't okay. I know it can be hard to talk about what you are and aren't comfortable with, but consent is very important. And if you're sharing a space with someone else, especially in a Lewdtubing space, you need to make sure that both of you are comfortable with what you're doing and everyone involved understands, hey, this is okay, this isn't okay, and things like that. Do I ever find it hard at first setting boundaries with people, especially when it comes to confronting somebody that is making you uncomfortable? It can be hard. Like, you can say no at any point. There's been people who I've been lewd with on stream and off stream, and I've told them, like, hey, I'm no longer comfortable doing this with you. I think it's better for friends. This is a conversation I have had, and you just need to make sure that they understand that. We're still friends, and that's fine. We can joke around, that's fine. But sometimes you don't want to do everything lewd with them. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and that's okay. It can be hard, but you need to make sure to stand up for yourself and do what makes you feel comfortable. I always say that consent is sexy and consent is important. To me, it's the 100% most important thing about any type of relationship, be it friendship or a lewd relationship. How do I see Lewdtubers in the future, like say 5 years from now? I think they're just going to continue to grow, to be honest, just because of Project Melody and all the other Lewdtubers out there. There's a face for us now. People know that we're a thing. It's going to be like VTubing. We're going to continue to grow, and there will be more of us. There will still be controversy because people want to be safe, so and people want to be lewd. That's just something that's not going to go away. But I don't think Lewdtubers are going anywhere. I think if anything, our technology is going to get more and more advanced, that we can do more and more things with the software, so we can be more and more like IRL streamers who do lewd content. That's where I see it going personally. Have I ever heard of a rogue visual novel called Dona Dona? I have not heard of it, but I really do enjoy visual novels, so it's probably something I would enjoy. I enjoy visual novels with guys, gals, everything in between. I am also a certified monster fucker, so you could add that in and I'm definitely interested. Tech is frustrating for what you do. Like, what limitations are the ones holding you back from creating the content you want to? I can directly speak about this. So currently, I am updating my 3D model, and I'm trying to understand how I can do full body tracking without the need for VR. I know it's possible, but the amount of trackers that I need is very expensive. And doing it in VR with like VR headset and everything is possible, but I don't have the control of my hands because my hands are controlling the controllers. So trying to figure out how I can still produce lewd content without using my hands is kind of hard. Luckily I have that sex machine on the way, but it can be hard trying to figure out what you can do within the limitations of your budget. And sometimes you just have to make do. Like for me, I was thinking about just like taping one of the controllers to my wrist so I could still have some like tracking there, but still have use of my hand. It's not something you usually think about, but it's something I've had to consider recently. Relationship-wise, what's your advice for somebody who's wanting to still do this type of content, lewd VTuber-wise, and in real life, but wants to have an actually loving relationship with somebody that's a partner to them, not just a friend? Well, so it can be hard. There's a lot of people who's not comfortable being around someone who produces lewd content, even if they're your friend. There's people more comfortable with having a partner who does that type of thing. I think having an open and honest conversation with the person that you're interested in is what's most important. You have to tell them, hey, this is something I do or something I'm interested in doing. You have to have a real heart-to-heart and tell them, you know, this is a part of who I am. And sometimes people aren't going to like that. And sometimes you have to make choices if doing that content is more important to you than being with that person. And that is a hard choice to make, but it may be something you have to do depending on the person. I'd suggest finding a person who likes you no matter what you do, but finding someone who's okay with lewd content can be very hard. Do these sites prevent you from including other people's lewd content in your streams? Can you do porn watch-alongs or dramatic readings? Well, like I mentioned before, it can be hard having another person come on just because you have to worry about, getting all the consent forms and getting the verification and all that type of stuff set up. If you're both on the same platform, it can be a lot easier to have those type of integrations, but it really depends on what the other person is comfortable doing. As far as watch-alongs and dramatic readings, I think that really goes under copyright. So if it's copyright free or free to use or free to read, then it'd be fine. So I've written fan fiction, so I could read my own lewd fan fictions on stream if I really wanted to. Not that anyone would be interested in me reading yaoi, but as long as you have the okay to do it, there's nothing stopping you unless you just don't want to do it. I would read fan fiction on stream if people would be interested in it, and it'd be something I had an okay doing. I've read books on stream, but they're books that are in the public domain now, so they don't have any copyright. I'm not sure how copyright works with porn, but I don't think that there's any porn that's old enough that I could watch at this point. Okay, I was about to say that, Scar. I have about 5 minutes left, 4 or 5 minutes, so I'll answer a few more questions before I need to go. I have released merch. I have a Zakimura, which is the body pillow, and I have mouse pads with and without nipples. I also have some shirts and some stickers as well, and I'm currently working on getting a gaming mouse pad and a wall scroll made. I have not read the Lord of the Rings collection on stream. That may be because they're just too long. I've tried to read them myself, and the extended editions really just keep going and going and going. I'm actually thinking about reading Dracula on stream soon because it is in the public domain, but I was debating about letting my community decide what I read for ASMR streams. Obviously, I'm so amazing because I'm nice and gloopy. Am I planning on releasing lewd merch? So, funny story, I'd love to, but it's not something I'm really big enough to have any sway in to be able to do that. However, when I reach partner on Twitch, I've already promised my community that I will be giving away a custom molded fleshlight using one of those at-home kits. So, I mean, that's kind of like releasing lewd merch, right? But it'd be something I'd really like to do. There's actually this dildo company I really want to work with. I think they're called Naughty Box. They make lava lamp dildos, which I think would be 100% up my alley. How can I not be the perfect spokesperson for that? I am a lava lamp. I think I have time for one more question if anyone else has one, and if not, we can end it here. Are you going to show my socials? I can go back to the slide with it. I'm just gonna, don't mind this. Here they are. Here is my Twitter, my Twitch, and my YouTube. I have information on my mini-vid site on my Discord. I keep it all there just because it is nice and concise, and Daddy Twitch can't get mad at me saying check out the Discord. But I hope you all had a lot of fun with me today. I hope you learned a lot about Lewdtubing, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your time at OffKai Expo. Thank you so much, Scar, for helping me out during this panel. I appreciate it. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night.